can't even believe what I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at like an absolutely unreal sight, and it's like so hard to focus on words. Hello and welcome to Mexico. I have traveled to Mexico to see the Monarch Butterfly Migration, and I am so excited. I've been in Mexico for a few days now, and yesterday we traveled here to the mountains in central Mexico. So we're about to leave for one of the butterfly sanctuaries that you can go and see millions of these monarch butterflies that have traveled this incredible distance down here to Mexico to overwinter in the Oyamel fir forests of the high altitude mountains. Scientists have been studying this for years and years and years, and there are still so many things that they don't know about why and how the monarch butterflies do this. And to me, that's just what makes it even more magical, is kind of the mystery that's still left and the curiosity and how much there is left to know and explore and discover about this amazing thing that happens, this amazing animal migration.
Pues esa es una gordita, que a fin de cuentas es nada más maíz con adentro algún tipo de comida. English, right? Sorry.
I'm sure I have Spanish-speaking viewers.
Yeah, so this is a gordita, it's a fatty. It's like just corn, but the inside is a dish called huitlacoche, this kind of corn. So they grow in corn, it's like a mushroom, and it's dark. Look at that. It used to be a corn, you can see the shape. It used to be a corn, and then it turns into a mushroom. It's right, and the other one is fresh, it's like a... So this is atole de chocolate flavored. At the end, it's also just corn, but it's a drink. They let it in water, and it's a hot beverage. You can eat hot, see the smoke, and it's chocolate flavored with brown sugar, and that's it. Corn, water, brown sugar, chocolate, and that's it. It's very traditional.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. Bro, I do not know you for anything. I don't know you. No say.
No say. We just had some delicious breakfast, and now we're about to go hike about an hour up to the top and see the butterflies. Are you excited?
See!
I think Rachel's very excited.
Yes, I'm so excited. It's monarch time.
What are we about to see?
Mariposa monarca, right?
Yes. Mariposa monarca. Mariposa monarca. Whee! One just flew by. We just ate breakfast down there at one of those spots. Beautiful weather today. We're renting horses to go up the mountain, and we're about to get on them, and we're gonna go straight up the mountain to see the butterflies. Here comes Becky up the hill. There she is. We just got to the top and we are just surrounded by thousands of butterflies. I'm in tears. I started crying as soon as we got up here, and I'm definitely gonna be crying again.
Look, there's so many of them coming.
Oh my gosh. No words. I'm just incredibly overwhelmed right now by how beautiful this is. I'm gonna cry again. I've never seen anything like this in my entire life. It's also just so moving to me that the butterflies that I'm looking at right now began their journey in New York or other parts of the Northeast or like in the Great Lakes region. I'm from New York. I went to college on a Great Lake and I traveled here today to see these butterflies, and we came from the same spot, the same area. You can't help but just want to stop and just stare. I could probably sit here and stare at this scene for hours. It's just, it doesn't even feel real. And it's just so amazing how we're looking at these butterflies with these such delicate, thin wings. And they made a 3,000-mile journey here. The migration begins each fall, when millions of monarch butterflies in the US and Canada begin their journey south to a destination that only their ancestors have been, traveling at a rate of 25 to 30 miles per day. This generation is a super generation, meaning it lives longer than the 3 or 4 generations before it. 2 to 2.5 months and up to 3,000 miles later, the monarchs arrive at their overwintering sites in Mexico, on volcanic peaks in high elevation Oyamel fir forests. In early spring, those who survived winter begin the migration back north, mating and laying eggs along the way. Once they begin reproduction, their life comes to an end and they pass the baton to future generations to finish the migration. Because these newer generations have much shorter lifespans, it takes up to 4 generations for the population to return north before breeding, their offspring a new super generation to begin the cycle all over again. Future Becky here with a quick aside. I also learned that the monarchs may also use the Earth's magnetic field to help them navigate to Mexico. Now remember, this generation has never been to Mexico, to any of these places, but they somehow go to these specific areas in central Mexico in this mountain belt and know to overwinter there. So there's a few ideas of how they get there, but it's mostly a mystery of how they know where exactly to go. And one of the main ways that they're known to navigate is through this sort of compass, like a sun compass. They use the sun and they're able to kind of keep track of time to know where they are at what part of their journey. But if they're not able to use the sun for some reason because of clouds or something else, they then have this backup compass that uses the Earth's magnetic field to help them navigate. The literal core of our planet helps them navigate. And it's so peaceful and quiet, and you just hear the little flaps of their wings everywhere. This is like the most beautiful sound ever. It's such a delicate, soft sound, but you just hear it in both ears constantly. This forest is also home to a lot of other endemic species like birds, trees. It's just a rare and incredible ecosystem up here in the mountains.
free flowing, sailing with the wind, not knowing how this story ends. Kind and brave, I know you'll find a way. Live your truth and good will come to you. Home, sweet home. Home, sweet home.
It's on my head.
Oh my god, that was the cutest fucking video I've ever taken.
So, what makes this so, I can't even believe what I'm looking at right now. I'm trying to talk about geology, but it's just, I'm looking at like an absolutely unreal sight, and it's like so hard to focus on words. This forest that we're in is an Oyamel fir forest, and these trees are endemic to this, the forest up here in the mountains. The high elevation, we're at about, I think when we get to the top, it's going to be about 10,000 feet, which I think is about a little over 3,000 meters. In Mexico, where we are, it's the Trans-Mexican Volcanic Belt, which began forming, I believe, about 15 million years ago, when two small tectonic plates began subducting under the North American plate, and that created this mountain belt in central Mexico where there are these peaks. And so at the top of those peaks where we are now, there are these forests, and the trees that are here, the Oyamel fir trees, really thrive on the temperate microclimate. So the moisture content, the temperature, the soil, and the butterflies are drawn to this area for the same reason. So the reason I bring up the geology is because it is the foundation, the reason for the types of ecosystems that have grown in the Trans-Mexican Volcanic Belt over the last 20 million years or so after that continental collision began. So while it's already interesting on its own to learn about the geology and the rocks, it's also important to understanding why this ecosystem in this region is so special and unique and why it needs to be protected. Geology is the foundation of life, of everything. Before there were plants and biodiversity on our planet, there were rocks. It's a very special region. It's actually home to the pine oak forests ecoregion, which is known for its high biodiversity as well as many endemic species, meaning they only are found in this specific region. One of those being the volcano rabbit, which is the second smallest rabbit on Earth, and also the Mexican volcano mouse, as well as a bunch of amphibians and reptile species and plants and flowers that are only found in this region. So because the volcanism in this region over the last 20 million years or so has been so complex, there have been different phases of volcanism with different types. That then creates different volcanoes, different landforms. Some are steeper, some are more gradual. When those rocks are weathered and eroded, they determine the topography, the elevation of the mountains, chemistry of the soil, the water drainage, different microclimates. There's so many different intricate details that are determined by this land, by the foundation. So all of this is to say that this is an incredibly geologically diverse region. In many cases where there's great geodiversity, there's also great biodiversity, and this is a great example of that. The butterflies come here because they can overwinter here and there's sun. Today is a very sunny day. We are incredibly lucky. We talked to a woman who was on her way down who came here yesterday, and it was too cloudy, so she saw some, but it wasn't quite as magical and active as it is now. They roost in the trees. They like huddle together to keep warm, especially if it's not sunny. They're able to preserve their lipid reserves that they built up before their journey, and they're able to kind of slow down their metabolism, I think, so that they're not using up all of that fuel, but they're also not so cold that they freeze to death. So it's this perfect microclimate where they're able to overwinter, and I'm going to continue walking up the mountain so we can see even more. We made it to the top, and there's millions of butterflies roosting in the trees behind us right here. Up in those trees, roosting, staying together to keep warm. And this trail is blocked so that they are protected. In 2022, the IUCN officially declared the eastern migratory monarch as endangered because of the steep decline in its population since the 90s. I believe since the 90s, the population has gone down about 80%, which is very scary and concerning and kind of makes you want to just lose hope a little bit. But there is reasons to keep hope. One of those main reasons is the communities in Mexico that take care of these sanctuaries and that protect the forests and therefore the monarchs and their habitats. There are also organizations all over the world. There's conservation organizations, there's researchers, scientists, science communicators, so many different people that are trying to find ways to save the monarchs and work together with these communities to figure out a solution and make sure that generations in the future are still able to see this incredible migration still happening. I was lucky enough to go with a friend of mine who is from Mexico, so he was kind of like our main guide. But if you do end up going, if you go independently, I would suggest doing a good amount of research on how to visit sustainably and responsibly. For example, stay at locally owned accommodations, locally owned restaurants, buy souvenirs from local artists. If you do decide to go with a tour company, you can find a locally owned tour company, or you can go with a tour company that is known for its sustainable practices and ethical tourism. By supporting the tourism economy in these communities, you can then help support the conservation of the monarch butterflies and the forests that they call home, and therefore help support the communities that call it home, because protecting these forests is also helpful for the people that live there for many, many reasons. To visit the butterflies, you don't want to disturb them, so one of the main things is talk very quietly. No flash photography, no touching the butterflies. Obviously in the video you'll see them landing on us, but we weren't going out and picking them up and putting them on us. We were standing there, and if they wanted to land on us, they did, but do not go and try to touch them or pet them or pick it up or anything and put it on you just for a picture. That's should be obvious, but I just wanted to point that out. A lot of these things your guide will tell you, because at pretty much all the sanctuaries, I think you're required to visit with a guide. And they will also limit the time that you spend in the sanctuary so that it's not super overcrowded or so that you're not disturbing the butterflies at all. And yeah, just follow the general rules of leave no trace, of, you know, watching where you step, staying on trail, don't take anything with you. These are all very important things that seem small, but if each person does that, it can make a huge difference on the preservation of the species. So, what if you want to help and you can't make a trip to Mexico? Like most people, probably. One big way and one easy way you can help is by planting milkweed. There are several species of it. I just planted some common milkweed and swamp milkweed in my yard, and I'm very excited. And the reason for this is because milkweed is the only host plant for monarch butterflies. That means that it is the only habitat for monarch butterflies as they are growing and turning from caterpillar to butterfly. The butterfly itself can eat other plants, but it still really needs milkweed because it protects it from predators on its journey, because there is a specific toxin in the milkweed that is not poisonous to the butterfly but is poisonous to most birds and other predators that might try to eat it. A big reason why more and more people should be planting milkweed is because there has been a huge decline in milkweed plants all over North America, mainly because of habitat loss and climate change. The monarchs also need nectar plants, so they don't just eat milkweed, but they use the kind of ingredients that are in nectar plants. So think like coneflower or butterfly weed or coreopsis, I think is one. I just planted that too. Anyway, plant a diverse array of pollinator plants, and the monarchs will be very happy to stumble upon your garden, big or small. And if you want to go a step further, you can also be part of citizen science initiatives or community science events. Conservation organizations might be tagging monarchs, so like putting little tiny tracker tags on individual butterflies to track them on their migration and help gather very valuable data for scientists. And you can also be a citizen scientist just by observing and reporting what you observe. And yeah, that's pretty much it. This experience was actually life-changing for me. It really opened my eyes to how much hope there still is for our planet and the world, even with these threats and these challenges that our planet faces and the species on it face. And it really, just like something as small as going to the sanctuary and seeing all the other visitors following these guidelines and being respectful to nature and the monarchs and the community there. It was just really moving and really special to experience. Obviously, seeing the monarchs themselves was magical, but the whole experience itself was magical because of the love and care that is so obvious in these communities that protect the monarchs.
On your head. There's two on your head. There's more on your head. Oh my god, they're on your face. One's on right on top of your head. Okay, I gotta get a better shot here. Is it still there? Yes. I was like immediately. They love you. What?
It's just like,
It's one on my face.
yeah.
No, on your head. On your hair. Oh.